Welcome to Simply Learn for our yet another session on the topic of our data science and Python. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the participants according to your time zone. So today we will be discussing about quite an important topic again, and quite an important topic in the sense of our data science because today we will be discussing on some real data set. Still now, whatever we have discussed that was all about learning about. Let me share the screen, brother. So till now, whatever we have discussed two important sessions. One was NumPy, and the second one was our Python topic, right? Python and NumPy. These two important topics have been discussed practically with lots of examples. And I gave you in the last meet, I gave you a lot of in between exercises so that you can understand and you can try to solve those questions logically, which is quite important. So in our last part, I think we have already finished with our NumPy part. If not, then let me just confirm. I think we have already covered it, but still, I'd like to just check it with everybody that I think this was our last part, mathematical part. Just want, just wanted to check if I have finished the knowledge check or not. Uh, these are all were discussed already. I think this knowledge check part was left, so we can talk about it. And talking about some of the in between things are there. Like we have got, I mean, most of the things were discussed. I think there were some in between projects are there, which is related to the GDP and all. So this part and Olympic 2012 medal tally. I think these are the two in between projects are there. All right, participants, a quick note in the chat, if you can see. Everybody can read that. I was just reading some information coming up. So I'll request all of you to please read it. Uh, it's about that the course that you are reading currently or you are enrolled currently. It's been updated. All right. So these are some of your informations which I think you are asking. So these are your responses. Uh, this self-learning will be reduced to 0% because of the recent update in the course curriculum. And the second thing is about the Google Drive thing. For the time being, what I will do is I'll share all the material. Uh, and over the mail, you will be receiving them. So I think the Google Drive thing is not accessible right now for the materials. But don't worry, I'll be sharing them. And then so that we can discuss all these parts. Okay. So talking about, I think few of the knowledge check part was left in this section. I might take this knowledge check along with the Python knowledge check as well. So both I'll cover in combined part, and that's what we'll be discussing. Okay. So let's get started with our today's session with pandas first. I think in NumPy only knowledge check part is left, which I'll take it with our pandas data frame. I might be wondering like why we are learning about first this. Okay, just a second. I think my internet connectivity has an issue. Let me connect it to my. I think it got connected to some other. All right. So now I think it will be correct. Thank you for the update, Deepanjali. And hopefully all the participants now you're not facing any issues regarding my voice. Give me a second. My chat here. So I think it is fine now, and let's get started here. Let's get started with all these things. With our new topic, which is pandas, and we will be discussing about pandas and some of the data types here. And these all will be the topic of the day. Talking about the content here, see, most of the it will be hard to check the differences. Okay, when this got updated today only, so I have to go through the topics again. So maybe I'll just check what are the updates that's been given because we don't get those details that what are the things which has been changed. So we have to manually check each and every PPTs. So for the time being, we will be discussing about what we are going into, and once I'll have the details, then we can go ahead with these type of things. Let's focus on it. See, there will be no very huge difference between uh, the topic. All right, just slight differences will be there. Few slides will be added, or few topics will be updated. So it's not a very huge difference will be there, but just a small differences. Anyway, over to our topic. Just a second. So we already had NumPy, which is quite an important library. We learned about it in our last discussion, and we learned that it is quite an important library in the sense that it helps us in learning about. Okay, so we were discussing about. What's going on here? PowerPoint has stopped working for a few days. I mean, yesterday also it got stuck. Just excuse guys. Meanwhile, if anybody has got any questions, I'd like to answer it. There are two assignments in the NumPy. I know that I will be discussing it in the class, so no need to submit it right now. And I'll guide you how to submit them. Hopefully now it will work. NumPy part. Where is it? Windows. So you have seen that we already discussed about the NumPy part, which was pretty good with working with your mathematical operations. So we have got some mathematical operations here that we covered using our NumPy, We discussed about some of these stats as well, right? Some of these statistical functions we discussed. We also discussed about some of the mathematical functions in our NumPy section, right? This was the last section, but this is not more than enough to handle when you have to work with the different file formats. And that's where your pandas actually play an important role. When it comes to the pandas library, you can expect that you will be getting a lot more better functions and a better representation of the data, especially for multi-dimensional data. Both can handle multi-dimensional data quite well. NumPy will be representing your data in form of just arrays, right? The ND array, we can call it as ND array. NumPy, sorry, n-dimensional array, that's what we call it as ND array. But when it comes to the pandas library, it actually represents your data in terms of a spreadsheet. It is still a n-dimensional records, but this is better representation because here you will be having a combination of rows and columns. You'll have a combination of rows and columns. So this is having several functionalities, and apart from that, the representation of the data is pretty better. You have a rows and you have a columns. So this is a better representation, that's one, and also it gives you a lot of important functionalities which help us in cleaning your data, like cleansing part was there. So the cleansing will be done better. So the pandas is gonna be quite an important one when it comes to going forward in our data science journey, and that is, if you will look at here in our whiteboard, if I'll move, 11 needs actually, it is not. Come on. All right, so this was just few differences here. Now what happened here is that why pandas? So let's answer it, this particular question. First of all, the answers will be when you can work on different data operation functions, intrinsic data alignment, data handling functions are there. So as you can see that if you convert your data into simple rows and columns, you get a lot of functions here, which can help us in cleaning the data. Okay, like you have got cleaning the data or cleaning the records. Similarly, you have the, you wanted to find out what is missing values, right? What is missing values here? So you can find out easily with the help of pandas. Next will be if you wanted to find out missing values is one thing. The next could be like suppose outliers are there. What are outliers? Right? Outliers are nothing but these will be your noisy data. You can call it as noisy data or noisy records. The record which are a lot more deviated from your majority of the samples, right? So where your entire cluster of the records are there, the outliers will be out and out from that particular region, and it will be those anomalies type of records. Okay, drop column, you wanted to drop some rows from our entire record, so data handling functions are there. Next is if you wanted to clean the data and after that you wanted to check if your data actually got cleaned or not, so you can find out that as well. Then you can particularly query the data. You can filter as per your own requirement. You can filter the data as per your own requirement. These are all key essential part of your pandas. Similarly, data standardization functions are there. Now there are two ways of particular data pre-processing. This comes under data pre-processing. Under the data pre-processing, we have got two majority of the things. One will be called as your normalization. And the second part is called as your standardization. Normalization, the second part will be called as standardization. These are the two different strategies which are there in data pre-processing. Apart from that, there are other methods as well, like you can take log over the data, etc., etc. So I'll show you these few in out of this. We'll be discussing few parts. Data structures handle major of the use cases. So these are the importance of the pandas. And believe me, this is one of the function is there, join function is there, group by functions are there, group by. What happens when if you have got multiple data frames in real world? What will happen? Your data frames will be not available as a single file, but it might be available in multiple files. So there, this join operations could be really useful. Merge could be useful. Group by, when you wanted to group the data by certain ways. And this makes your things quite important because in the sense that pandas will offer you those functions which handles your missing values, great standardization functions like to normalize the data, to standardize your data. And with the help of all these, what happens is that they make your data wrangling and manipulation steps quite easily and quite smoothly. You can do them with the help of just the inbuilt functions or methods whichever are offered by your pandas. But they can be grouped. They are all part of your data wrangling and manipulation. So hopefully I've got the back idea behind what exactly the pandas are doing here. Okay, features of pandas. Pandas has powerful data structures. There are two important data structures which are provided by the pandas library. One is called as series data type or series data structure, and the second one is called as data frame. Now obviously data frame will be much more important in the sense that the data frame help us in getting those functions which I have just talked about to clean your data. Pandas is built on top of NumPy. So definitely you should have a NumPy. NumPy becomes a prerequisite, right? So just I like to add here that pandas is built on top of NumPy library that we have already did, and we have seen that NumPy was a fast executing library. Their functions were efficient and their functions were fast. So as pandas is also following the same, so thus it will be also fast and efficient when it comes to data wrangling part. When I say data wrangling, what does exactly I mean here is that I wanted to do all these process of cleaning the data, performing the pre-processing, removing the outliers of the data, handling the missing values, dropping the unnecessary columns, and filter the records. These are all comes under your data manipulation part, where you particularly take a raw data and you do the entire journey till you reaches to a neat and clean data, right? So that's the journey where the pandas plays an important role, and it is fast and efficient as well. Its functions and method: easy data aggregation and transformation. So just for your information, I can tell you that there is an apply function which is offered by your which is offered by the data frame. So we can write like data frame name and dot, let's say some data frame name will be there, and you write a dot operator, and then you write some function here, let's say apply function. So its function and methods make data aggregation and transformations quite easy. So with the help of the inbuilt function of Python library or lambda functions of Python library, you can use this apply, and you can just add it directly here, and that will make your things easier. So that's the step of data aggregation and transformation. Then next important thing could be your data alignment. Now it has got tools for reading and writing data in between memory, data structures and in various formats. Now that's quite important here, because nowadays, and specifically if you are talking about the big data types, can you name some of the data types which are dedicated, the data files which are created only to handle the big data part? Like if anybody has attended the big data session, so you might be aware about those file formats. I'm talking about the specific file formats. Hadoop is not a file format. Hadoop is a framework. Parquet, yeah, that's correct. No, Parquet is a file format. Then ORC is a file format. That's correct again. And then JSON file is there, right? These are all your different file formats. I will not consider JSON as one of the options to store big data, but I think these three important: Parquet, ORC, and Avro. These are the three ORC and Avro file format. Now, pandas could be really useful here, because if your file format is of Parquet type, right? Then similar to that, we have got ORC file format and Avro file format. You can read about them, guys. They are really an important file formats in case of the industry use cases. Okay, but these are majorly discussed in the big data session, not here, and we don't need it. Apart from this, the other common file formats are your CSV, JSON format, and XML format, and Excel. So remember, all these file formats could be handled easily by your pandas. It has the read function, which offers to read all these different file formats that we have written here. Whether it is a compressed file format of Parquet, or you wanted to read the data from the CSV file format, JSON and Excel. Definitely CSV is the most commonly used file format, so I'll be also discussing about these file format only. But here we are talking about why pandas. So this is one of the important features, that it offers direct functions to read the data of different file formats here. Okay, next is data alignment, and that is done through labeling the data in an intelligent and automated mechanism of pandas. Pandas libraries and functions are highly performance driven. When dealing with different data sets, there is often a need of merging them to extract some meaningful information. So their merging and joining of data sets could be really useful, and this is all done by the simple functions are there, direct functions are there for merge and for joining as well. Okay, so I'll try to take these examples when I'll take the practicals. I think we are done with this all part. Just one more thing, that is what are the different data structures which is offered by the pandas. Out of this, two are important, okay, and these are the important ones: series and data frames. One-dimensional data representation, which will be a labeled data, and it will be used for storing multiple data types. But this will be one-dimensional, 1D. This is for 1D. This is your particularly of multiple data types format and a multi-dimensional data, but this will be represented in 2D format. Your data will be having multiple arrays here, but this will be, so you can use a spreadsheet here, or you can also connect to the SQL database in terms of rows and columns. You can represent your data. It also supports your multiple data types such as integer, string, float, object type, etc. These are the two important data structures which we have to focus. Others are panel and panel 4D. Panel 4D is currently experimental, so this is not guide. This is not important again. This three-dimensional labeled array is also available. Remember all the functions and methods that are available to us. They will be mostly discussed with the help of data frames. Data frame is one of the most popular data structure which is used in every other frameworks as well. Like if you have learned Spark session, then in Spark session you might have learned about the Spark data frames as well. So it is also available in your big data libraries. It is also available in your Python libraries. With the help of pandas, we can achieve it. In big data part, we do it with the help of Spark. But what is important here is the data format is same, and why this is important is because the data looks nice and presentable. You can apply the things and you can see your data type in this case. Okay. Yes, XML is also considered here, and all those other file formats are also there. So yes, XML could be also considered. Now we need to discuss here what we need to discuss. Nothing. Let's get started with our practicals part. So you all can start with your lab part if you have not installed any Anaconda library. So your practice lab is ready. You can launch your lab, and from this lab you can start working on the very important package, and that is about our pandas library. So if you wanted to work on this, you can work on it. If you wanted to work on Jupyter Notebook, you can get started with a new notebook here. Simply go to here, click on new and click on Python 3 and start your Jupyter Notebook. Start your Jupyter Notebook. Start your Jupyter Notebook, everybody. Okay, so what does I name it? Let's name it as your pandas Okay, so we have got our pandas data science Simplilon library, and let's get started. First of all, you'll start with the import NumPy. Two libraries I will take here. NumPy, which we have already covered in our last week session, and the second one is import pandas as PD as well. Import NumPy as a 9p and import pandas as PD. These as is per alias, right? That means this is a reference name, and pandas is a package here, and NumPy is also a package name. So now I'll get started with our sharing of the code on the chat. That's the only option that we have right now. So you all will be requested to, if you wanted to add some, you wanted to ask something, do change your send to permission from all participants to host and presenter, so that you will not break the flow of the code that I'll be sharing. So your comments will be, your questions will be directly coming to me, and that will not reflect, that will be not seen in the main group. Okay. So you can just change, everybody, just change your send to permission from all participants to host and presenter. This will be much more better, so that your code flow will be visible. Okay. The first thing that we will learn here is that we need to discuss about how to create a series. The series is just a one-dimensional data, and in this case, you can just take a data set like pd_series. pd.series is a library. Sorry, it's a function. Pardon. Pandas is a library, and series is an inbuilt method function. Now, this series can actually take the data in all your basic data forms which we know. For instance, we can particularly look for list. You can pass list. You can pass tuples. You can pass dictionary. As data or as an argument, you can pass it inside this pd.series. For the time being, I'll just pass a data list of A, B, C, D, E, F. These are all my 6 values. Now remember that in this case we are passing list as an argument. Now let's execute it. When I have executed, you can see that I got certain output. Now remember that this series data is part of the pandas and the data structure is series data structure. Now series data structures is not like your NumPy array, but it is a combination of two things, indexes and the value. With every index, there will be an associated value, and let's see how your values look like or how your indexes is presented. So first, what we will do here is that we will take this first underscore series and we'll pass it inside this print function and we'll execute it. When you will execute it, what you are observing here, you are observing first thing, on the left hand side there are some 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is there. On the right hand side you will see A, B, C, D, E, F, which is actually coming up from this. So this means that it shows two things, indexes and your values, and the third part which is at the bottom is called as your D type. D type is definitely what? D type is presenting your data type, and data types is related to what is the data type we have got in this case? The data types that we have in this case is object data type. Object is nothing but it is an alternative to string data type. Now let me share these codes with all of you, and you all can get started. Okay, start working everybody. Yes, whenever you see this dot operations, right? When I say pd dot or np dot, this means these are all inbuilt. All these are inbuilt, and in pandas there will be a lot of inbuilt functions. S is capital. Read the statement, guys. If you see the error, just don't see it. The thing is that the Python interpreter is very good, as it shows you the errors or everything in terms of English. It's an English language basically. Something wrong with the first underscore series. So what will be the issue? Issue will be that your Mr. Pramod, right? Please make sure that you change your all send to option to the host and presenter, please, because like this you will be changing. You will be not interrupting in the codes that I'm sharing. So I'll get the message, but in between the others will not able to see. So that's the reason why I'm telling. Okay, so please change your send to option to host and presenter, and this is for everybody, so that I'll get the message and your codes will be not affected. So I'm just resharing the code. Now hopefully everybody might have already changed the send to option. So I'm resharing the code so that if you are getting any error, you can just send it as a private message. Instead of sending it to all participants, send it to host and presenter. Okay, so hopefully all of you have completed this section. Now let's take. Can we can we pass, in spite of passing as a list, can we pass a NumPy array? So yes, we can do that as well. Let's create here np underscore country. np underscore country. Now this is my NumPy part. I'll take here np.array, np.array. And I have already actually taken this from the documents which are been available, like the PPTs part. Okay, you already have those PPTs available to us, to you in terms of video. So this is actually the code that I have already, the names I have already taken. Now you can see that I'm just creating here what? NumPy array. Maybe we can just make a backspace here. Okay. So we just written here some data here, some records here. Now I wanted to create some series country, right? So I can write here series underscore country. This is my variable name. pd.s is capital. Remember, S is capital. Whenever you wanted to create a series, so if you will try to write S in small, then obviously it will give you error. It is case sensitive. S capital will work, S small will not work. Now you copy this np underscore country and you paste it here. This will be particularly presenting your data. You can call it as pass your ND array as an argument. So we can run it. Now once we have run, once we have started working here, then we can take here the print function, and through the print function we can take here your series underscore country, and when we pass here series underscore country, you see all these values getting presented. What is this object means here is that your data type of the value is string, and that's what the meaning of data type object means. Now here is the record. I'm just passing it to all of you. Start working. Now question arises, can I change these indexes or can I change my data type? If these are my questions, let's try to find out the answer for these. Hopefully all of you have completed it till here. Can I have a responses in the chat, please? Somebody is asking like in which situation pandas will be used. I think I have already gave the explanation here when I was talking about these sections. The different methods I talked about, right? Like this offers a lot of merging, joining operations, data cleaning methods are there, data aggregation functions are there, data wrangling methods are there. With the help of pandas, you can read the data. A lot of data you can read directly, which is not possible, which is not offered by your NumPy. NumPy is about only arrays, but pandas, they can read the data and they can convert your data into a very important data structure, which is called as data frame, which will be presenting your data in terms of rows and columns. So that's where the major differences are. NumPy, that's only for the mathematical operations, especially the array operations or your matrix operations. Now let's discuss here about now here we will be discussing about what was this here? I was trying to just change the things, right? Suppose my indexes are not there presented, so how does we can use them? We take here my data equals to pd.series, and in the pd.series we can pass here some numbers, let's say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, F, G. So let's print your data here. We print the data. What happens here in this case? Right, pd.series. We have got the data here. Let's talk about the error. Okay, length 1, 2, 3. This is repeated. Let me remove it. So the basically the error was it was saying that the size of this and the size of this should be same. So that's how it is used. We have got the pd.series part, and if you will see here what happens, we can change our indexes. So instead of getting the indexes here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, here in this case we can modify the indexes. Okay, what you see on the data type, we see that integer 64, right? That's the default size which is available to us. That depends upon ID to IDE as well. Some take default data types as INT32, the other takes INT64. Now that could be also customized. I can change my data type from INT64, which is default size, to INT as minimum as INT8 is also allowed. Now my numbers are not, INT8 will have a range of -128 to +127, which is obviously acceptable here. So if you will try to exceed the range of 127 plus 127, then you will not require INT8, but rather you have to go for INT16. Suppose my value is 160. This is more than 127, so you'll see that this has changed to -96, which indicates that the size is not in the range of INT8. So in that case, you can change it to INT16, which will have more range of the record. And these are all in bytes. So that's how it is, and you can just change your value here, and you can also change your data types. That's your more important thing. Now take your values and change your values. This D type is for data. Yes, it has nothing to do with the indexes. D type is data type. And when we talk about data, these are my data. It has nothing to do with the indexes. All right, so that's an important section here. Now this is why you can say that the series data types are, different, and these are just small things. I mean, you can do a lot of things with this series type. Whatever the functions we can apply to our data frames, those will be also applicable to your series data type as well. So you saw here some data function operations and data handling. functions were there, data standardization functions, or intrinsic data alignment. All these properties are not just for the data frames, but they are also part of your data series as well. But as you know, the series is not that much popular. The reason is not just because we already have the data frame thing, which actually presents your data in a better way, and that's the reason data frames are more popular. Okay, so now let's get started with this. There is only one D type, and that will be representing for values. Now let's get started here with my next section, which will be related to, okay, some more functions, some more data. Just a minute. How about if I wanted to take the series as a collection? I wanted to take the data as a collection of records. I mean, instead of taking one data, I'll take here multiple data. So let's take the collection here. Take here my data underscore series. This will be equals to, then we take here my curly brackets. Okay, first one is column 1, which should be equals to pd dot series, and let's pass my value. So I'm just taking some dummy values here: 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. So 7 entries are there. This is your first part. The second part is column 2. Then we take here my pd dot series. And I will check here the values. Let's print my data underscore series. Okay, what is the data type of this data underscore series? What is the data type of this data underscore series? Drop your responses. What is the data type of this data underscore series? Send your answers in the chat. Getting some. Okay, so most of you have given the correct answer, but there are many who has given wrong answers as well. I don't know how you guys are asking. My question was, I asked about the data series, data underscore series data type. When I'm asking the data type of data underscore series, then I think the best way to find out is using type function. So even if you are confused, you can just find out. What is the answer says? Dictionary. So those who are saying integer 64 and integer 32 and all, that is the data type of this particular column 1, this PD series. These are the data types, integer and all. The data type of data underscore series is dictionary. So type function says everything. We have Python. So this is a series where actually we have passed here multiple values, and these are my keys here, column 1 and column 2. Now I'm going to discuss here about how to convert our data series data type into a data frame. So particularly I'm talking about here typecasting series to data frames. So how does we do it? We have got again an inbuilt function pd.dataframe. Now this pd.dataframe is not only for this series type of data type. You can pass a dictionary, you can pass a numpy array, or you can just pass a list. They all can be converted into a nice data frame. Now what is exactly a data frame is all about? Data frame will be representing your multiple data. This is a multiple variables. Column number one is a, let's say this is your first value and this is your second value. They both are, or even more than this, even if there will be more and more values here, they all could be represented in just 2D format. That is your rows and columns. That's what the data frame is all about. Represent the data. I'll write a data frame here. This is your data frame, so I'll just add some details about the data frame. Let us talk about the data frame here. And let's write data frame is data structure. Is one of the data structure obviously represented in two-dimensional table like spreadsheet. Now I'm just pasting all this in the chat window. Check it quickly. Selection code, typecasting code are shared again, and convert them. See, this is what I was telling you. This is a spreadsheet type of thing, right? This is a row and column combinations. That's what called as your data frame. Now some more on the, I'll come back to the pandas data frame. Majority of our things will be related to the same. But we need to discuss about that what exactly is offered by the series data type, right? Which will be really an important part. So one thing we have learned that the series offers us to modify our indexes, which in NumPy arrays were not possible, right? We didn't had anything like that. They will remain constant. They will remain as it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, right? In the NumPy array, we are having the similar type of things. The indexes will remain as it is. Whereas if you will look at here in the series, you can customize the indexes from 0, 1, 2 to you can take a value of entire list of the value A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But yes, definitely when you are creating something like this, you have to take care of the size as well. Let's take one more data type once we are all done till this. So this data actually is available to us in a document form. I mean, to us means to us particular part, and I'll be just giving you that data set. Okay, let me give you that data set in the chat. It's a bit, it is a bit large data, and I'll just provide you. And in that, I'll be particularly doing some evaluation. So evaluate countries and their corresponding GDP per capita, and print them as a series. You can convert them into data frames as well, but our goal is to create a series out of it. Now here the utility of the indexes are not just that you can create them as ABC, but you can have indexes like this as well. Like here in this case, one side we have got all the numerical values. These are all GDP per capita for these respective countries which are available to us. Different countries are there and their GDP per capita is mentioned. Okay. Now let's print the data here. Just print here this particular data. The data frame name is dictionary underscore country underscore GDP. You can have any name here. Now let me share this particular part. I don't know if the entire code will come in one line or not. So I think better I'll just go through this. First, I'll just share you this part. One. Everybody start copying it. And this is entirely sent. No, not yet. 347. That's the problem here. It does not take the entire record. I need to search it. It's better 347.476. Just make a search. Okay, I think the last few lines are not matched here. That is 605. So it becomes 6605. Please complete this first line first. Okay. The ending line is in the next line. And then I'll send you this, I'll share this entire country details. Then I'll share you the country details. Do remove all the extra spaces, whatever is available to us. Do remove them. Okay, hopefully you all have copied it from the chat, the values, and you have presented them just like the way we have done. And now I'm sending you the country names, and here are your entire country details. Please try to prepare the data. This could create an error because of if you will not align them properly. And then print them in this way. So you're able to see here the values. On the index side, we are having the country name, and on the value side, we have got the GDP of that particular country. Total length of the data is 63 here, and the data type is float 64, which is fine. So that's your values data type here, which is indicating here float 64. It is indicating here float 64. So series could be done in multiple ways. Here you can see the utility of the series. Now I'll show you some of the important other details about the series, which could be like starting with accessing the elements in the series. Then you can also do some vectorization operations in the series part. So we'll see them one by one. If it is done till here, can I have a drop? Can you just drop done in the chat? If it is finished, these two sections, can you drop done in the chat, everybody? If you have got unexpected UF, that means you have not closed the brackets properly. So you need to look for that. UF means that you have not closed the brackets. Or you have not closed this single inverted comma which is available to us. So are we done here? Drop everybody, done in the chat. Confirm, done in the chat, everybody. Okay. Now, in this case, we are having a dictionary underscore country. Okay, I think most of you have already said done in the chat. Okay, now in this case, I have some property names, dot index. So when you write dot index, you will see that this will be only used to index to display the indexes here. Similarly, if you will write here simple dot data or sorry dot value, then you will only see the values here associated with the very index positions. So dot values and dot indexes are quite important sections here. I'll just hide these so that you can see the maximum line of codes. So the next part is about indexes, and the second is about the GDP dot values, which is representing your values part and the indexes part. Okay. Remember here, you will not able to see the entire data because by default they will show you the first 5 rows and the last 5 rows. They are called as head and tail. That's the default setting of the data frame. If you have to modify, then you have to particularly use the data frames part where you have to pass explicitly the values and all. Then it can show all the values, which is useless in this case by to see the data when we have already seen it here or when we can present it here as well. So check your values. Indexes will show you all the list of the indexes. In this case, the indexes are country, and similarly, dot values will display here. Values are using for the value part. I said this has to be converted into data frames first. Data frames in that, then we can use. Double click on this white line side. In this blank side, you can double click, it will hide your output. Okay guys, so let's get started here with some more details about what we can do with the series. Now series has limited use cases as we all know. Let's say we are having dictionary underscore country and then we write dot. As you know, dot will reveal all the details, right? What are the things which we can do. Now these are not the exact details for this particular part. You can see it will show all those functions which you can do with a data frame. The same you can do with the series as well. But generally all these things we cover it in our pandas data frame part. Here we can discuss majorly about the slicing of the record, which we have already discussed. So what are we accessing through 0? Through 0 we are accessing here, accessing the first element in series, correct? Now my question is that if I'll ask you one thing, that how to particularly show the first 5 or let's say first 10 data. I wanted to check the first 5 results, then how does we can represent it? Tell me. I wanted to check here first 10 results. So to present them, what we can do? We can just write here 0:10 and that will present your first 10 results. Simple. This is to display the first 10 results. That's the utility of this slicing, right? So access first 10 countries from series. Quite a simple one, 0:10. Now if I'll ask you that, tell me how to display the last 10 results. How to display the last 10 results then? How does we can represent it? Last 10, what will be the result? How to display the last 10? -10 : to access the last 10, countries from the series minus 10 colon. So that's how you can particularly try to access the data. Whoever is sending the responses, so many times I've said, please change your all participants to host and presenter. It will be much more easier, guys. Otherwise, the code will move up. Okay. Anyway, these were just easy stuff. After this, we are ready to move ahead to do some vectorization operation in your series. That means we can try to sum up two different series here. That is possible here. Probably this is the last section in our series part. Then we will do some data frames part, and that will take some time. Vectorizing operation in series. So in this case, just like the way we have learned in our NumPy, we had element position, right? The operations were used to perform the element by element. That means the element position of first will be added to the element position of the first of the other data, right? That is what used to happen here. The same will be performed here as well. In this case, let's say this is my first vector. Okay, I'll just consider it as my vector series. And I can take some values here, correct? I can take some values. Let's say this one, pd.series. And you can take some numbers here. pd.series, and we have this number 100 to 600. And then we have got the index position, which will be given by A, B, C, D, E, F. How many values are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Correct? So 6 values are there. That's first thing. And similarly, we can create here my second vector series here. We can take in this case second vector series. And now let's take my value 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and the indexes will remain same. Remember, when you are doing the summation and all, your indexes should be same. Otherwise, what will happen? Those a new record will be created. I'll show you what happens when your indexes does not matches. Okay, so I wanted to do just one thing, that first vector series plus second vector series. So they are added, they are summed together just like element by element additions. So in this case also it will be same as it is to your NumPy. Addition, data element position. So that's how it is. This is how it works, series part. In a particular situation where you will be having a null value. I mean, just I'll show you here that in this case, if your index is, or maybe I'll just keep it for later. Let's not discuss it because again, all right, guys. So just complete them, everybody. Done, everybody. I'll wait for your confirmations, guys. Now, somebody was asking about why we need to do vectorization. Now, question is that basically my part was that I wanted to do summation between two series here. So suppose I wanted to do or perform the summation between two series, and we have seen this thing in our example where we compared this thing with our list, right? The same operation. So what happens there? We have to iterate through the values one by one. Like we will take one by one value and we'll use for loop and we'll iterate through them. Now that's where the vectorization will be used. So in that case, what happens is that if you will be particularly having the, if you are having this vectorization process, then you can just simply straight away sum them by using this plus symbol without using any loops and all. So vectorization process will be fast, and it will be its processing will be not dependent on these for loops or while conditions, which makes it even a kind of a parallel processing, which are also offered by the NumPy and Pandas. So in terms of resources uses, this will be again better than your other file formats or other data types. Like the same thing, you can do it in your list, but we have seen that list takes more time, and whereas the NumPy and Pandas also will do the same operations much more faster. So that's the utility of these type of things, that how to utilize them in our real world examples. These are actually going to be the good practice because they make your process faster. Also, this can handle all the different types of data, so that's also an added advantage you don't have to worry about. And also, uh, yeah, so these are the points that you have to discuss, that this vectorization is an important thing. What if we have a different indexes? So as I said, I'll be showing it later, so wait for that. I'll be showing you exactly at the place where I will be in a position to explain you that how to handle the issues. Currently, it's not the correct time, so I'll avoid it. Now that we have discussed about all these dummy data, let's work on some real data here. So I'm just sharing you some data set here. Just give me a second now. I'll be just sharing you one raw data set, and then I'll be talking about their. So I'm just sharing you a URL link. Please follow that. When you'll follow this, you will able to see something like this. Now you can right click on this and you can just save as. Right click and save as, and you can upload them in downloads. Right? You can right click over this. You can save as, and it will provide you this automobile underscore price underscore data underscore raw underscore dot CSV. So this is a CSV data, but this is a raw data, and it will be having some issues. Those who haven't seen any CSV files, so this is how it looks like. They're all comma separated values. Every value, every data is separated from each other by comma. Every value is separated from each other by comma. Each and every value is separated from each other by comma. Now that's how it is presented here. That's why it is called as a CSV file. Now let's get started here. I'll start working with the data frames now from here. And let's get started with movies underscore data frame. This will be equals to pd dot. So either you take this entire URL as a path, or if you wanted to save this data and then take the path, then also it is fine. So URL is also acceptable, so that's also a good thing that you can provide a URL of the data without actually downloading them in your local machine. You can just work on it. So that's how you can take your data, or you can just store them directly in your some storage location, like you can store them in some E drive, D drive, and from there also you can start working on it. E data, and then we get this value, and then we get this value. We take here my display of movie underscore data frame. It says path is not found or something. Okay, just give me a second. I need to download this data, and I need to save it as in my location. So I can just simply write E, and where is my data part? Data, and I'll save my file. So you can just simply right click over this and you can save it. It's as easy as we save any data. And this is how your data will look like. Now this is a normal automobile data with lots of issues. You can see some issues, you can see some special symbols are there, question marks, which will be there available in our entire data set. As I've said earlier, that when you present the data frame or your data series, they will show you by default only the head and the tail. Head means first 5 rows, tail means last 5 rows. Total number of rows are 205, total number of columns are 226. Not all columns will be visible. You can see some of them are dot dot dot. Now there are plenty of operations we will learn in this, and this is the most important section, because if you have understood this, then only you will able to do the data pre-processing part, which takes or consumes near about 70 to 80% of your time whenever you will do some real world project. In real world, most of the thing is actually done by your pandas library or your Python functions, and obviously other useful libraries which will be also upcoming. So from here your main data science topics start, the library start, which will help you to learn about the data and how to handle the issues of the data. First, let's see some of the basic things, fundamentals here. Now this copy paste will not work, because you know that this is my path, so you have to take care of your own path. In this case, one thing is there which is called as separated by, separator, SEP. This is called as your delimiter. This is called as your delimiter. In other words, what is a delimiter in this case? Comma. How does I know it that the comma is our delimiter? Because we have presented the data. So this URL link which I have opened, that has showed you that the separator here between the two different values is comma. If this comma, in spite of this comma, if it will be a tab, so you have to mention \t in that case. If it will be semicolon, you have to mention here that it won't be. It won't be always that it will be separated by comma. Sometimes it will be separated by semicolons. All these three could be your CSV files as well. Or sometimes it could be even separated by spaces as well. But the file format for all these different conditions could be space, and that's the reason why we have got sep equals to comma. Now let's talk about here our data frame functions. Data frames basics. These are all my basic data types, basic functions which are important. Starting with, so all of you finished reading the data frame, you have already finished reading them. Are you all able to see the data? I just copy the URL for the time being in place of the link. In place of this, just provide the link and it will be able to read and you will able to read it. So provide, just add the URL, remove this and add your URL. In fact, I'll do it. Just copy paste this, it will work. Just copy paste this code, it will work. For the time being, you can just do it like this. Now, if it is finished, drop done in the chat. Now that if it is finished, you can drop done in the chat. Drop done in the chat once you have finished. Okay, so that this is how the things work here now. I'm resending the code, guys, if you have missed out in the chat. So kindly do it from there. The URL could be easily used, so you can take it and it will be much more easier for all of you. Starting with our some of the inbuilt functions. Head, head function. Head function display first 5 rows. We can take here my movies underscore data frame dot head function. This will show you the first 5 rows. By default, it will show you the first 5 rows. Next is tail. Next is tail. Tail display last 5 rows. Tail display last 5 rows. So you can just mention here dot tail and it will show you the last 5 rows here. So start with head, start with tail. Hey, wait a second. Why I named it as movies underscore data frame? It should be auto underscore price, no? Change our names, auto underscore price. This is not a movie data set. This is a auto price data set. Vehicle price data set. Please update it. Please update the name. It has to be auto underscore price and not movie underscore data frame. Please update your data frame name with auto underscore price. All the codes, updated code are again sent, so you can replace your previous code. Okay, so when you wanted to see here, first five by default. Now, can I display more number of rows? Yes, you can show it. You have to write the number in between this. You have to write here 10. When you write 10 here, it will show you the top 10 rows. It will show you the top 10 rows here. Okay, when you write here head 10, it will be particularly showing you the top 10 rows. Okay, so number is also fine. If you will provide the number, that means it will not show you only 5 rows, but it can show more number of rows as well. But by default, this will be only meant to show the first 5 rows. Okay, now next part is the next part. Let's get started with our next section. Okay, let's get moving to the shape part. Next part is shape. Shape indicates how many number of rows and columns are there. It will be representing in terms of a tuple value, and it will be represented as rows comma columns. Let us take here auto underscore price dot shape. When we take here shape, it shows 205 rows and 26 column. The return type from the shape is what is the data type for this? This is a tuple, right? So this will be returning your tuple data type, and the shape will be rows comma columns. So 205 rows and 26 columns. Next thing is shape. Next thing here is a shape. How about if I wanted to show all the column names? Suppose I'm not interested in, I'm not able to see my all the columns from here. I wanted to know what are the columns that we are having. Dot columns. Return type will be an index, and you can see here the data in terms of indexes. More on this, this is a data which is showing all your column names. So quite a simple lines are there. You can just execute them, and they can be combined to find your to do some bigger task like to filter the columns, or whenever you are interested in getting the column name, so you can do it through these. Slicing of the columns could be also done through this part. This is your one basic methods which are offered to us from the data frame, which includes your head function, tail function, shape functions, and columns as well. Now that we have seen our basic functions here, finish them and drop done in the chat. Once we have finished, just write drop done in the chat, everybody. Okay, majority of you have completed it. I'll just wait for 2 more minutes. If not done, just do it. Okay, so this is done here. Next part will be about data manipulation functions are there which are important. Which are important is that you have to display here the values. Dot rows does not make any sense here. We are already getting the rows with the help of head and tail, then what is the utility of that? So there is no function like dot rows. Next is data manipulation. Let's get started here with my auto price. And important thing is coming up here, dot info. Quite an important one, it shows a lot of details here. Now, for the first time, we are using a function here. In this case, you can see for the first time, we are using a function part. In this case, also we have taken some functions here. Here we didn't took the closing bracket, so you have to remember here all these part, and that's all the things are. Now that we have got the info thing and the info part, you can see the details. The details include how many number of rows are there, 205 entries are there. Indexes are from 0 to 204. And it also showcases that if any particular row is missing, if any value is missing in between. So according to this, it says that there is no missing values here. There are a lot of data types are mentioned here: object data type, integer data type, float data type. They are all available here. In the end, you can see the numbers. That means object is of 16 type. 16 columns are there, if you can call the columns. So 16 columns are object data type. Integer are 5 and float are 5. Total size in the memory is 41.8 KB or kilobytes. So that's your info function. Info function is returning you many informations. More than everything, the important is that from this we can figure out if we have got any missing rows. But it shows that all 205 rows are not null, which indicates that all our values are available to us. Okay, what about next? Sorting and filter the data. How about if I wanted to, if we are interested in arranging our data in an ascending and descending order? So let's do it. Auto underscore price, my column name. Now let us take some integer column names here. Some value, integer type, engine size is there. Engine size is an integer data type. So we'll take here engine size. Engine size is an integer data type. And we can write in this case short underscore values. What this short underscore values will do here, that this will rearrange, reshuffle the value in an ascending order. This is your sorted in an ascending order. Sorted in ascending order. Sorted in ascending order. These are all sorted in an ascending order, right? Fine. So in this case, you can see that your data will be in. Can we do the reverse? I mean, we can do the reverse as well, right? So let's do that as well. Descending order, for that you have to take this entire thing as it is. Okay, in spite of applying it to one data frame, let us apply it to the entire data frame, and let us apply it in this way now. That I wanted to sort all my rows. Right now my rows are rows of the record. All my records here are available in this way, like they are already have an index here. We have got the indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and goes up to 204, right? We have got all these indexes, right? Starting from 0 and it goes up to 204. So what I wanted to do here is that I wanted to reshuffle the value by a certain column. So by a column, let's say the same column name I'll use here, by engine size, by engine dash size, and here I will mention what should be my sorted by. So we have got ascending only, and you can write ascending equals to false. When we say ascending equals to false means that this will be descending order. So all rows will be shuffled by engine size in descending order, and that's what happened here. So at the first we have got 49, and at the bottom we have got 18. Okay, start working everybody in both of these ways. In this case, we have just got one thing, that is ascending equals to true as a default value is there. So remember this part, that you have to just replace ascending equals to true to ascending equals to false. Okay. So there is no descending order or descending or anything, whatever you guys are sending it in the chat. They are not available. We have just one thing, and that is called as ascending equals to true, which is by default. So when you don't write anything, this is ascending order. And if you want descending order, we have to write ascending equals to false. Now run them and execute them to get our outputs. And here all the rows are affected, and they are all getting affected by your they're all getting reshuffled by the engine sizes. Completed everybody? Okay, now finish them. Okay. How to find out the unique values in every column? Suppose I wanted to find the unique values in the column here. Unique values in each column. Auto underscore price make dot unique. I wanted to know the makers. Make indicates here makers here. So I just took that maker's name, the manufacturer's name, and these are the different companies' name which are available to us. I think these are most of the renowned companies, the car manufacturers that we know. So unique function shows the unique values for the specific column. Unique function returns you the unique values present in the column. So make is there. Make will show you the Jaguar, Audi, BMW, Chevrolet, etc. Whatever the company's names are there. Similarly, you can check for the fuel type. You can check it for the even numerical data as well. So it will only present you the unique value for the specific column. Okay. Now that we know about the column names and how to select the column. So the basic way to select a column is use a square bracket and put that single inverted comma to select the columns. How about if I wanted to select multiple columns? Right, this could be like selection of columns here. So selecting a column, we should know about selecting columns by using column names. Right now I'm just discussing about how to select it with the help of a column name. Correct? So in this case, we have got our column name. Let's write here my column name. I'll just change it. Let's say body style. So body style is there. I'll write here the body style in the column name. And this will provide me this is the way to select the column. So now you can see that only one type of column is selected, which is body style. Next part is that we have got our auto price. And now we are interested in getting multiple columns. So when it comes to taking multiple columns, we have to provide it by the help of the different column names. Drive wheels are there, body style is there, engine location. You can just select multiple columns as per your own size. Engine size is there. I'm just going for these three random column names. So if it will be more than one, you have to select it with the help of two square brackets rather than one. But if it is a single column, then you can do it with the help of a single square bracket. This is for selecting multiple columns. Alternative way to select the column. Now this was random selections. These were all random selections by column name. The other one, other alternative, think about it. What could be the other alternative? If I need to select the column, let's say I wanted to select the column between make to, or let's say I wanted to select fuel, aspiration, number of doors, body style, and drive wheels. Fuel type 2, wheelbase. These all 5 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 columns I wanted to select. What could be the solution? How does we can do it? From fuel type to engine wheelbase. How does we can do it? When I wanted to select these many, now obviously in this case, don't tell me that, okay, select all the columns explicitly. No. When you are selecting it randomly, then names are fine. But when you know that you are selecting in a particular sequence, then there is no need of that. Then we have to take care of the things. We can do it with the help of these columns, right? Just before this, I said that the columns could be used as a slicing method. So I need to select the columns by using the index positions, and my index value starts from the fuel type. So what will be the index for this? Fuel type, and it should go up to wheelbase. So index position for the fuel type, everybody knows about it. It will be 3. And then what will be the index position for the wheelbase? Write your answer. 3 colon what? 3 colon value. It will be 9 or 10? 10. It will be 10 only. If you still goes with a 9, then I think you definitely need some revision. This I have already explained in Python, in NumPy, and that's the way of slicing it. So ultimately we are passing the column names only, but because we already have this column, so we can use this indexes to do the things in shorter and better way. But yes, if you will be in some different order, some random order, then you have to look for some other alternatives. Okay. So these are the methods of selecting the columns. These are all your 3 different methods to select your column. Selecting single column, selecting multiple columns, selecting the columns with the help of indexes, selecting the columns by the column names. Next thing is your Boolean conditions. We are using here some Boolean condition to slice the data. To slice the data, we are using here some Boolean conditions. Okay. So, what's next here? The next part in this case is that we take our auto price. Now pay attention here. Pay attention. Auto price is there. Let's take a column name. Let's take a column name in this case, and the column name is maker. Make. Correct? Make is there. Now make is having all these different values, right? When you write make, you have got all these values. Okay. Now I'm comparing here the left LHS to the RHS, and on this side I'm just making sure that my maker will be only odd. Maker will be only odd. What is the return type of this? As expected, this will be returning you in terms of true and false, and this could be helpful in slicing the data to make selections for your specific record. Suppose I wanted to look for only those records where for those vehicles which are been made by the manufacturer named as Audi. I'm not interested in analyzing the other records. So that's how you can do. You can just make the selection of the column. So what you did here is just a condition. You're comparing the column name with the column value, and this will return you a Boolean result. So maybe you can just put them in a separate part, and this thing needs to be put under a data frame. This thing we need to put them under a data frame, and this will return me the output. So we have got here my Boolean condition. Got here my Boolean condition, which will return me the value, the output. Total 7 records are there that matches this condition. That means total out of these 205 data, there are just 7 records, and these are those 7 records which are in starting from 3 to 9. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are the indexes where the manufacturer name or the maker's name is Audi. Odd is equals to true means that particular row is true, the others are false. False means that is not matching up the condition. What is this? True and false is an if condition, right? So this is similar to your if condition. We are just comparing that if your maker is odd or not. So if maker is equals to odd, then that will be returning you true. Else it will be returning you false. Here, this is your this is your value which is returning your boolean condition, and this boolean condition is to put inside a data frame. Do pay attention guys whenever I write the code. There is no need to parallelly do the coding. That is only allowed if you already know this data frame, how these are working. If you are learning it for the first time, then pay attention in listening more so that the explanations will be clear at the first time. Okay, so this is gonna return you true and false. The boolean condition is there, so this is gonna return you true and false by matching the condition. You are seeing true. True indicates what? True indicates that it is a match. It is matching the condition, right? And if it is not matching the condition, if the maker is not odd, then that is gonna return you false, which you can see here, true and false both. Now put this odd price make under the data frame part. If you will put them under this data frame part, then you will get the output as per the condition check. Now I like to finish here by multiple conditions. So let's talk about the multiple conditions here. So you can add multiple values just like if conditions we write, right? So we do multiple conditions next. So multiple conditions, I'll take the data frame name. And in this case, you have to take you have to put the conditions in parentheses. So first condition, and then you will write the second condition, which will be auto price, which will be like an auto price. And then you will write your make equals to, so any conditions where make will change. So I'll change here Toyota. Similarly, this will be changed to your number of doors, and I'll change my number of doors to 2. Now there will be vehicles which will be having 4 doors. There will be vehicles with the 2 doors as well. That's what it is indicating. Now in this case, what is this? This is basically related to your AND condition, right? So which means that we are actually filtering the data with where your maker is Toyota, and in Toyota we are specifically looking for 2 doors. Okay, the vehicles with only just 2 doors. So these are those particular conditions. You can see the make is Toyota, and if our number of doors will be visible, so you can see the number of door is also just for 2. So you will not find number of doors equals to 4. Okay, so this is the AND condition between these. That means both the conditions should be true, just like your any if conditions. This and this, if both are true, then only it will return you true. Otherwise, it will return you false. So once we had this AND condition, we can have your OR conditions as well, right? So we can replace this AND with the OR condition similar to this. Now I'll change this Toyota to BMW, and my number of doors will remain as 2. So let's see how many values are there which is matching up this. So either my maker has to be BMW or my number of doors in the vehicle has to be 2. Now this could be OR here, which means that it is not It could be for any other vehicle as well. And we can have BMW, if BMW makes sedan with four doors, so that will be also visible to us. So we can have two doors, or we can have BMW. Both, any one of these two conditions should be true. That's the meaning, that's the purpose of OR. Now let me send you this Boolean conditions. First, Boolean condition two. Second, this is your multiple conditions, and this is your again multiple conditions here. And this is the end of our today's session. Oh, sorry, what I'm saying. I mean, we are finished with our in-between session. Now we'll go for the break. So before we go for the break, if I missed out anybody's question by mistake, or if I'm not able to take any questions, then please post your questions once again, and I'll take it straight away. So don't leave any questions like the previous questions, which you have, which has been not on, which has been not answered. So you can just. We are not done with the pandas. This is not the end of pandas here, right? So if anything is not discussed, that means it will be upcoming. So why need to worry about? Can we take unique values of entire data frame? No, actually we have got duplicates part, which we'll discuss. We will discuss that duplicate section. No, no, no. I said I will be. I corrected myself that this is a break time. Pandas is not finished. Pandas is going to take so much time. I mean, this will take entirely. The entire day will be dedicated for the pandas. Pandas is a very important library, even more important than our NumPy. Okay, any other questions, guys? What happened here? Can we filter for multiple values in same column? Yes, you can do that. These are just like, see, treat this part as an if condition, in between thing is an if condition. So whatever you can do in your if condition, that you can apply here. You can look for more than one condition, more than two conditions also you can write. Can we filter for multiple values in the same column? Answer is yes. This. What he is talking about? Auto price make equals to auto conditions like above the which slows the operation in real world scenario. How to convert data series back to CSV? There is an option to save the data. So with the help of that, you can save the data into the CSV format. Sorry, Durgesh, your question is not at all clear. How can we write a code for printing Audi and Honda at a time in make column? At a time means you have to write two different conditions, make equals to Toyota and you can also write make equals to Audi. That could be one thing that you can try as for whatever we have discussed. This is a Boolean condition. Okay, so you have to treat it like a Boolean condition. Now, if there will be any other thing, we will discuss it. There are many other ways of filtering the records. So as we will proceed ahead, we will talk about that. Like we have a query function, we have got filter function. So we will talk about them. That will make your things much more easier. And yeah, so let's wait for that portion to come, and then we will do our proceedings. We can do it with the help of filter is there, filter function is there, query functions are there, so you can try there. Uh, there are these are just like your makers equals to, all these are just your normal Boolean conditions. Okay, so you have to write here just like an if condition, just like the way you write an if condition. So you have to write them each and every condition in every line, and that will be the end of the discussion. So that's all. So more on this we will discuss after the break. I think doesn't seems to be any constructive questions which is matching up. So many questions are just for the future part. So once we will come after the break, then we will continue about, and then we will try to answer those questions which are related to the condition part. Okay. So let's go for the break, and let's do the formalities first. Polling activity. So let me start with that, and then we will discuss the next part. I'll start the timer clock after 2 minutes, 20-minute break, break time, polling activity is on. Let's get started. Timer clock starts now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back after the break. I hope everybody is back from their break and let's get started with our post-break session. So can I have a few or presence in the chat, please? Can I have some presence in the chat? All right, let's make things easier. All right, let's get started. So all our active participants are available, so we can start with our session now. You can see that in this case we have discussed all our multiple conditions were added here. Now let's talk about the next section, which is about how to take a sample of the data. Oh, wait a second. Before that, let's talk about how to slice the data with the help of log and ilog. By the way, can we take the conditions in terms of the numerical value? So answer is yes. So let's take that one as well. Auto price make equals to, let's say, make equals to BMW, and we will write here in this case wheelbase. Some numbers will be there. Let's say we can write here wheel dash base E is greater than equals to, maybe I can take here a value 95.7. 95.7. This is a numerical data, so you don't have to write them in this way. So there are 141 rows that matches this. Maybe I can just write here BMW, or the maker is equals to Toyota. And in spite of this, I can write and BMW. And when we write and condition, you can see these are the 8 rows that matches our condition. In this case, we have included a numerical value as a condition. So for the numerical value, you don't have to put them in single inverted or double inverted comma. You have to just provide the number, and that will provide you the multiple conditions to get our values. Next part is my log and ilog. You can take your log and ilog value, which is used for slicing rows, and you can take here about my slicing rows and the columns. Auto underscore price dot log. Okay. There are two ways here to slice the data. One is using log function and the other is ilog. The differences are important. Log function will take your column numbers, or sorry, column name or your row name, or maybe as a row numbers. These are not treated as indexes here in this case, which we have generally used. And I said that these are all indexes. They will be treated as a number to identify the rows. So if I'll write here 10:20, this means number 10 row to number 20 row, all these values will be sliced. Okay. Now after this I'll write colon here, which means all columns, but rows will be between 10 to 20. And when I say between 10 to 20, that means it will end at 20 only. Remember, if this would have been an indexes, this should have stopped at 19, right? That's what we have learned, that we have to write one greater than one next value in this case. So in here you can see that we have got 20, that means it will reach till 20, it will not go till 19. Next part in this case we can write is about 10 colon 20 is there, so we can just provide here some column names. Maybe you can just write here sibling, and I will mention here column name as wheel dash base. So wheel base and sibling is there. We just take here my column names and my row number. So accordingly your data will be filtered. Start position, end position you can write. You can also select it by taking the the random columns. In that case you have to pass it as a list. You have to pass it as a list if you want that random names of the column rather than start value and end value. Now next part we will discuss, this was about the lock. Now let's see here the next part, which is slicing using rows and columns, slicing the rows and columns, but this time we will be doing it with the help of indexes, which means here iloc. Iloc is indicating your slicing. Iloc indicating your slicing by using indexes, by using index values. That means you will write here the start index value and you will colon, and you will write here stop index, start index value colon end index value. Now this will be exactly like the way we have filtered using our indexes, like by using numbers. So auto underscore price dot iloc, and we will write here 10 colon 20. This will remain as it is. For columns you have to also write again the number. So let's say I'll write here 2 colon 13. What will happen here is that you will get a value, start index position is 2, and the last index position will be 13. Last index position is 13 here. So start value 10, end value 20, start value 2, and end value 13 minus 1. This will be not 20, but it will be 20 minus 1, so it will stop at 19. Similarly, this will not reach up to the 13 index position, but it will stop at 12, right? That's what happened here. The last value will be not taken, but it will be n minus 1. So if n is 13, you will have till 12. Similarly, your last value is not 12, but 20, but it will be 19. That's the difference between lock and iloc. So same value will give you different result. When you put them into lock, 10 colon 20 returns you row start position 10 to 20. Whereas when you write them in iloc, your start position is 10 and end position is 19. Start is 10 and end is 19. Okay, that's how these are different from each other, and that will differentiate your results as well. So remember guys, both are used for slicing the record. So either you can do it with the help of lock or you can do it with the help of iloc. The syntaxes are different. Iloc will take your indexes whereas lock will take your names. Fine. So that's how it is work. That's how you can differentiate both of these values. But their ultimate purpose is only to take the values. Now, obviously, to an extent, you will say that the lock is not that great because who will go to all these names? And suppose if you will be having like 100 columns, then who will remember the name? Correct. So that's where iLog has got an upper hand because you have to just remember the index position. So instead of writing the exact column name and copy the exact column name, you can just write your index position. Suppose I wanted to display the last 10 columns. So what will be the value in this case? Last 10 columns means minus 10 colon. This will give me the last 10 columns, correct? So kind of backward indexing is getting used here, right? Backward indexing. This is your backward indexing. That means we are selecting here, select last 10 rows between 10 colon 20. Between last 10 columns. Okay, select last 10 columns in your rows that start from 10 to 19, right? That's what this means. Okay. If these are there, so maybe we'll be having the steps as well, correct? So one again advantage of using iLog over the lock is that, okay, we will just see this log part, okay, and I just wanted to take the steps part, right? So with this, when you write that colon 2, when you write sibling, normalized losses, and all these other values are there. And when you write here colon 2, so what happens here is that you get every next value in this case. You see that drive wheels are there, sibling, normalized losses, make. So there is no impact of writing 2 in this, correct? That means we cannot slice the data if I wanted to get the alternative values, every another value if I wanted to get. So that's again an advantage of using iLog over the lock is that you can get it with the help of iLog when you write colon 2. Similarly, if I wanted to get the value between, I wanted to get or fetch only the last column. I wanted to get the last column. I can just simply write here minus colon, right? This will give me the last column, which is price, and row will be sliced, so you can see that we are getting 10, then 12, then 14, then 16, and then 18. Correct? So these are some of the advantages that we are having. Maybe we can just enlarge this value 10 colon 30, so that will make more sense here. Remember the last value 30 will be not taken because it will reach till 29, and 28 plus 2 makes it 31 actually. Sorry, 28 plus 2 makes 30, but the last value will be not taken. As you know the obvious reason of iLog part, it will reach till only 29. This is to take the last column. So these are some of the advantages of using iLog over the lock. You can straight away index your value. So what is this colon 2 indicates here? This means the step size, right? That is the name of this alternative row. Alternate rows are there. Step size is equals to 2, which will result into select alternate rows, and minus 1 obviously indicates last column. Next, now that you have already understood all these, that how this is working, so can you tell me how to reverse a column? That's a question, an exercise. Reverse a column, reverse the columns. Okay, so reverse it. How does we can reverse our record? First column becomes last and last column becomes first. First column becomes last and last column becomes first. Rows will remain same, 10 colon 20. So rows will be as it is, but my position of the column I wanted to reverse. So execute it and run it and then send me the answers in the chat. That is your one exercise I'm giving it to you. Let's see how much you have understood it. Write your answers, everybody, and I can see two people have sent correct answers yet. I'll give 2 more minutes. It should not take 1 minute, more than 1 minute. It's a very simple question, and there are, I think, in our previous sessions also we discussed about how to reverse the rows. So you should probably be doing it in a minute. Our columns will remain as it is. Sorry, rows will remain as it is. Columns will be reversing them. So no change in the column part, no change in the row part in fact, but columns will be changes. Do it faster, everybody. Do it faster, everybody. Reverse the columns. Rows will remain unchanged. Be 10 colon 20, so this is fine. But the column is absolutely okay. You have to just write colon colon minus 1. And this I have already explained on our previous week session as well. How does this reverse could be done by the help of simple minus 1 value. So last column becomes first and first column becomes last. That's what the reverse is doing here in this case. Next part is my sample. Next part is my sample function. Next part is my sample function. Taking samples from data frame. Taking sample from the data frame. So what we are looking for here is that we are particularly will be targeting here to take my columns with my random value, random samples. Okay, so one you can take it with the help of fraction. Fraction is there, which is given by sampling using fraction. Fraction could be of 10% maybe. Okay, so I might be storing them in some data frames. See, all these changes that you are seeing here, right? These are not getting applied to your data frame. Your original data frame remains unchanged unless you update them. So here what I'll do is I'll just save the result into random.rand. This is my random data frame, and from my original data frame, which is auto underscore price, we'll take my sample and we will take here my frac, which is equals to 0.1. That makes it 10%, and this will be random 10% of the data. So maybe every time you will execute it, you will get different data getting selected. Total number of rows are more than 205. So what you are getting as a 20% is 20 rows. Sorry, 10% as a 20 rows of 205 values. That's what the frac function means. Frac function is doing in this case. Now, can we do it without the frac? The answer is yes. One more method, alternative method is there, and that is number of samples. So, in spite of writing fraction, this will be also giving you the random number, random data, random rows will be selected. But this time you will be saying that, okay, I need the number of sample as 10. So, either you do it by the number of samples or you can do it with the help of fraction. So n here indicates your number of samples. So sometimes you will be interested in getting the random samples, and that's the way to select the data, like splitting the data into 70:30 ratio. So in that case, you can use this sample function and you can write frac equals to 0.7, which means 70% of the overall data, and rest 30 you can send it to the rest 30 sample you can select for the other purposes, like for training and testing. So that could be utility of this. Of splitting the data into 70% and 30%. Okay, what about the next part? The next section part will be about. Okay, I'll wait for your confirmations now. You all just finish it and then we will talk about the next thing. What type of this? What shall I answer about this now? Can we also take a random sample of columns? I mean, this is hilarious at the same time. And what is this called? Selecting the random sample of column. If we have to select the random columns, then we already have covered it in our this part, right? What was the purpose of this? These all slicing thing. That was random sample of the column only. So this part is not making any sense here in this case at least. And when it comes to taking the sample, we don't select it on the basis of the columns. We selected rows because we have to deal with the data. We have to take the samples here, not the columns. Column selections we can do it by many ways, which we have learned already, different methods. What is the parameter of selecting 10% from the data? Frac was their fraction. Frac equals to 0.1, 10%. Total number of samples. %10 of the total number of data. What is the total number of data we have in this case? 205. So 10% of 205, we are making the selections. So we can focus on the next part, which could be filter and query. So we'll learn about how to run queries here. Now this is not, this will be only for slicing the records. just like the way we did it in our previous cases, similar to that. Suppose you are targeting here to select your column by the name of some initial names. Okay, some initial names are there and you wanted to select it. This will be targeting only the columns. Remember this part. Using filter method, this will be only for selecting columns with initial alphabet. Initial alphabets. Let's say our initial alphabet is A, B, C, or with alphabets, let's say. So for example, we write here my auto underscore price, and then I'll write here dot filter. Okay. Now this filter part will take conditions. Okay. Filter will take your conditions here. Now this will take here like. This will take here like. Like equals to, you can write here some initial value, let's say A. When you write here like equals to A, it means that we are only targeting to check. We are only targeting here to check the records. And in this case, you can see that all the values that has got A in it, all the column names which has got alphabet A in it, at any position. It is not just about the start position. It could be at any position. If it is at any position, then they will be selected here. That's the purpose of filter. This will simply match your value. This will simply match your value, and with the help of this, you can select your columns. This is your another way of selecting your column, just like the way we have discussed the conditions, the Boolean conditions, using and or conditions, or using your using particularly your iloc and lock. So these are all your other values which could be used to select your specific columns. Okay, now that's how it will be working. You can see this part. So it will compare your value here. Filter function will compare your value, and accordingly it will give you the output. Now let me share this code here. This is only for selecting the columns. This is only for selecting the columns. Okay. Now if you are saying that, okay, I wanted to check if you will write the exact column name, like let's say for example, I'll write here norm. So if I'll say norm, then only normalized column will be selected. And likewise, you can provide the exact column name as well. Okay, you can write here the exact column as well. Now there could be one more way here. So this is one way of making selections. And remember, this will target your column names. In fact, let's write here auto price. One another alternative way to use filter. You can just provide here regex. Regex stands for regular expression. And in this case, you can actually pass multiple values. Suppose you wanted to check for the value which starts with A, as well as which has got N in its name. Okay, A or N. This means A or N. So if you will write here simple N, then these are the columns that will match. Or maybe you can just write here E or N. So either E should be present or N should be present. I think in these cases, if E and N is selecting your 23 columns out of, I think, total 26 columns were there. So maybe I can just look for I or N. So I or N has made total 17 columns getting filtered here, which has got either I or N. Now this is about comparing column having alphabets, I or N, having I or N. Now let me share this. No, they are independent. This is not in. This is I or in. Sorry, I or N. These are two different alphabets. I is separate and N is separate. So they will not compare as a pair, or that is not how the filter works here. Filter will be simply targeting for the letters, individual letter. If you wanted to compare with an entire name, exact name, then you have to write like this, AN. So there is no column that has got AN in it. For that purpose, we have got like. So suppose I wanted to check if any column has got IN in it. If I wanted to check for IN present in the name, then you have to better use like. But if you put them the same thing in regular expression, then they will be treated as I or N. Okay, so that's the difference between in and regex, like and regex. Sorry. So if I suppose I'll write here the same thing in. Here we are comparing the column names with I in. Column names having alphabet, sorry, in. So we are comparing in here. In this case, we are comparing if in is found. If in is found, okay. So hopefully I have understood this part. Now let's discuss about the next part. Query section, right? Query part is there, query. Let's discuss the query section now. So these are all different ways of filtering the record. I think this is more than enough. Alright, just one last part will be query part. That's what we will discuss next, and that is your query. So there are many ways of filtering the record. These are one of those important sections which everybody should practice as much as you can with different data sets. And yeah, that's how it is. This is our query part. Let's discuss the query section now. Just give me a second, please. Just give me a minute, please. Okay, so hopefully let's discuss here auto underscore price. You will just write here dot query, and in the query part you will write a query. Remember, in this case you have to put here all these value in single inverted comma or double inverted comma. So let's take a query and let's put everything here. For example, so it will be similar to what we have did earlier. Let's say I will like to write here that my column, let's take a category here. Let's say the maker is I can write multiple conditions. A simple make will be equals to. Remember, when you put the in single inverted, you wanted to add a string, so use double inverted. Never use single inverted again, because this will be starting position and this will be the end position. And whereas this will be acting as a string part which we are comparing if your maker is this is string value or not. So what is my string value? Let us say that if my maker is equals to maybe BMW, then you can write here and, so it will be like an and here, and the condition equals to, so what else we can write? Let's say fuel type is gas. So fuel type will be, I think two types will be there, or maybe we can just say engine location equals to front. Maybe that's one condition here. Engine location equals to front. You have to exactly like the value. Now let's see what happens here. I mistakenly have added the single inverted, so that will be closed. Remember that every string value inside this will be in double inverted commas. And we can also write here about something about the horsepower, let's say. Which will be greater than 101. So these three conditions should be true here to get our result. What happens here? Let's talk about. See, name engine is not defined. Okay, so the problem is this dash will be there, and this type of column is actually written in this format. Engine location. Okay, so I think horsepower is not considered as an integer here. So maybe we can just choose some other value. Let's talk. I think engine, there is some issue. I will talk about it later in the cleaning part. Maybe we can just check the length. We can check the length here, length of the vehicle. So length should be, what is the length here? Length, where is the length represented here? Length part, can't see the length. I think it will be in some other value. Maybe, how about engine size? Engine size, okay, let's take engine size. If engine size is integer or not, let's check first. Their data type is important. Engine type, engine size is integer. Yes, that's good. Engine size is integer, so let's take the value quickly. Engine size. Engine size. Remember, if you have got these special symbols, then you have to put the value in this format. It is that just below the escape button, you have a tilde symbol, right? So along with the tilde, you have got this inverted comma, special type of inverted commas are there. So that is getting used. Now in this case, I am taking engine size should be greater than, let's say, 108. Maybe that is my condition. Third condition, and these are my filtered results. 6 rows are getting selected. Maybe I'll just change it to Toyota. And now 17 rows are selected in this case. If you will change this to rear, sorry, I think rear will be not there. In this case, I think it will be front. What is the other alternative here? The second condition, body style we can take. So different conditions are there, and accordingly you can change the value. The main point was to take the condition which I have given you. Remember that why I have used this value in double inverted. The reasons are that this is entire string. This entire thing has to be in a string. So if you have started the outer one with a single inverted, so you have to end with a single inverted. So in between you cannot use single inverted, because that will actually confuse this part, that whether to end this one here or whether to end it exactly here. To avoid this confusion, we will use the two different ways to declare our strings. We have discussed that in Python, double inverted and single inverted both are used to declare as a string. So that's what we are following up here, that make equals to Toyota. Now this is basically the dash is there because the name is having dash, or if your column name is having spaces. In both of these conditions, you have to put this special symbol to make sure that this entire name will be treated as a single name. Okay, and that's how you'll query it. This is similar to your another alternative method of filter. Filter is totally different from the query. In the filter, we cannot write the condition. We are just filtering here. This is like a condition. So if you have to compare this, you should have compared it with the initial thing that we have discussed. This part. These two could be comparable. This part and query part could be comparable because in both the cases we are targeting to select the selective data on the basis of our conditions. So you will use query to write your conditions just like the way we have written the conditions in our before the break session here. Okay. So query is for condition, whereas filter is only to select your specific columns by comparing it with alphabets, etc. That's we have already discussed. So let me share you this part and everybody finish it. Let's target ourselves to drop the columns after successful query part. Next, how to drop the columns. After we have successfully filtered our records, let's try to drop the column now. Yes, you can use OR condition as well. OR will be written as OR. That could be also written. You can have a combination of and OR. You can have a condition of OR and AND. Okay. So next part is about drop columns. Drop column or drop rows. Actually, it was drop. Not only just columns, but we have to target to drop rows and columns. So this could be used to drop rows or columns. This could be used to drop rows or columns. Okay, so let's target it. We'll take here my auto underscore price dot drop function. Now, whatever the columns you wanted to drop, you think that these are unwanted columns. Suppose sampling and normalized losses according to me are of no use. They are not giving me any extra information about this particular record of my auto price. So what I can do in this case is that I can put them in my single inverted commas or double inverted. That means they should be available as a string here and they will be presented in this way. Next, I can add here my axis equals to 1. This is particularly to target here and drop my columns. This is particularly to target here and drop these two columns. So you can see that those columns are not available. But is it actually applied to my auto price? The answer is no. These changes are not updated. If you actually wanted to update them, you have to write and place them as in place equals to true. That means this will be a kind of attribute that you will pass here. And remember that this is used for updating. So don't use it right now. As I will proceed ahead with our machine learning examples where I will feel like, okay, let's actually update our value, there I'll be using it. So in place equals to true is to update. This is to update the drop changes, update the drop columns or any changes in auto underscore price column. Okay. What is the significance of this axis equals to 1? Axis equals to 1 is for column wise. This is for column drop. If you wanted to drop a row, you have to write axis equals to 0. If you wanted to drop a column, you will write access equals to 1. I'll repeat again. If you get here access equals to 1, that means it is for column drop. And the same thing if I'll write it for access equals to 0, which is by default as well. So even if we will not mention, it is by default. This is by default drop rows. By default drop rows. I'll mention here my auto price dot drop, and let us replace this as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just provide here some random numbers. 2, 3, 5, 9, 11, 15. These are all my values, and in this case you will mention here access equals to 0. You will mention here access equals to 0, so those particular rows are dropped here. These particular rows are dropped. So by default, we drop the rows by using these indexes. We can target to drop our rows. Next part is my duplicate rows. This is quite important here. So let me share this particular code here. So two different ways of dropping the rows and dropping the columns. Now I will target here my duplicate rows. So if we have got the duplicate rows, how does we will discuss it? We'll take here my auto underscore price dot columns dot duplicated. This is to check if we have got duplicated column names or not. So they will return you false, 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 which looks like there is no duplicate column names which are available to us. So first function is duplicated functions. This is to check if my column is duplicated or not. Okay, by the way, in this case, false means they are not duplicate. That's the reason. False means they are not duplicate. If you will get true, that means yes, we will be having a duplicated value. So duplicated returns you true and false. True for the duplicate column, and false means they are not duplicate. They will only check the column names. Yes, that's correct. This is only to check the column names. Check column names if duplicate or not. If duplicate, returns true, else return false. Else returns false. Next condition, next part. So duplicated is gonna return you true and false. Next part will be suppose I wanted to check for if my rows are having duplicate rows. That means the entire row is duplicated. Like in this case, auto price is there. Suppose I will show you the all auto price here. How many rows are there? 205. There could be a possibility that this entire record, what you see here, these two values which we are having, right? This is the value. Now pay attention here. If this entire row is a duplicate with some other rows, so how to target it? If this entire row will be a duplicate entry and this is not a unique value, then in that case you can use a function called as drop duplicates. Drop duplicates functions will, after applying this will simply drop those data. This will simply drop the duplicate rows or duplicate values. So it drops duplicate rows. Okay, and definitely we are interested in updating this. So I told you like I will be using it. Wherever I use in place equals to true, that means the changes is applied. The changes will be applied to your main data frame, which is in this case auto underscore price. So what happens is that, is there any update here? No. If there would have been any condition where actually two rows have been similar values, then you could have got this as 204 or 203. So those particular value would have been dropped. Now this shows that we have got 205 rows. This shows that we have got 205 rows. Okay, so this looks fine here with my all these values. Next is okay. How about if I wanted to target our column and I wanted to make a selections for the all numerical values? Can we do that? So yes, we can do it with the help of select underscore d types. Select columns by using data types. Now there are three data types majorly we have. For numerical value, we will be having integer 64 and float 64, correct? So those are my values here. df underscore 2, that's my temporary data frame. Auto underscore price, now I'll apply in this case. Dot select underscore d types, and I'll include here equals to integer 64 as well as float. You can't see the object data type in this case. So these are all your numerical columns. So select underscore d types is there, which is used to target only the selection with the help of data types. Finished? Okay, you all will be interested in knowing if we have got any missing value in our column or not. Okay, right now I'm not gonna discuss anything related to the missing value, but let's try to find out the missing values. How does we check the missing values? Okay, so we just write here what is null. Is null returns you false and true according to the missing values. Is null returns you true or false if we have got a missing value. So returns true if missing value found. If, and how does it is represented? The missing values will be represented as NA, NaN, null, or any special symbols could be also there. So these are your three or blank entries, blank values. These are all the sign that it is a missing value. These are all considered as your missing values. So is null returns you true. Is null returns you true. No, question mark will be not treated as a missing value. We'll convert them. But yes, that is an issue here. Obviously, that problem will be there, and as we will progress ahead in our cleaning part, cleansing of the data, which mostly I will discuss it tomorrow. So there I will discuss about how does these issues could be resolved. Okay. So just wait for that part. For the time being, we will just focus on what are the different functions so that you can have this thing. I mean, you kind of a tutorial type of thing which will be having a lot of all the most frequently used functions by the data frames, so that you can just change the data frame name and you can apply it for your practice. Now, more than isNull, actually what is used is isNull.sum. IsNull.sum will be particularly returning you if what is the count of the missing value. So this returns you the count of missing value. Return total count of rows. So count of missing rows. Count of your missing rows. That's your isNull.sum. So hopefully you all have successfully finished them, and once we are done with all these parts, then we can move ahead with our. Let's do some of our important available things. I think if you will look at to the package, sorry, look into this, it has got two projects. This is I think Python lesson number 5. To look for our lesson number 7, right? That's what finished now. So let's target to the lesson number 7. This is 5. This is 7. Okay, so can I have a final done in the chat if you have finished till here? This is where we are ending up our discussion with missing values and their count. This many things are more than enough. Obviously, as you will proceed ahead, these are all related to the experience thing. isNA and isNull is doing the same thing, yes. Either you use isNA or you use isNull. Alternative could be not null as well. Obviously, this will be opposite of what isNull doing. Not null is there. Not null will be exactly opposite of what is being given by the isNull. So not null will return you true for not missing values. So in spite of returning true, this will return you false. So this is their not null, which is alternative of alternative option. Actually, opposite option of what isNull is doing. Okay. So these are all your different options which are there. Hopefully, you have understood them quite nicely. Just one more thing I like to discuss here about. Suppose I wanted to make a transformation. I wanted to create a new column. Okay, I wanted to target some columns here, which is my available. As I said, the question mark in the data set will be handled in the data cleansing part. So wait for that. Today I am not going to discuss it. If I will be done with my this chapter here, in this case I need to discuss about my 2 projects. If I'll be done with that, then I will start the data cleansing process, where there I will discuss how to deal with these question marks and all. Okay. I'll target to my selective columns here, which starts with my curve dash weight. This is one of the column. Now, which all column should be transformed here? Okay. So, I am targeting here the data with a large range. Okay, a pretty large range value. So, I'll select few columns here. I'll show you. I'll select curve weight, curve dash weight. Okay. Second, I am taking here a column name as wheelbase. And third, which I am taking here is length of the vehicle. Now, if you will look at here, all these three values compared to the other. Okay, let's say if we are going for the curve weight, it's not visible here. Curve weight will be in some thousands. Okay, this is in some thousands. Similarly, wheelbase is in some hundreds positions, right? And length is also in 100 positions. Now, these numerical values are totally deviated from your other numerical data. If you will compare it with other numerical values, here is your numerical columns, right? Where is the numerical value? Just now we discussed it. Yeah, here it is. Now just compare. All these are numerical data. Now if you will compare this, engine size, then wheelbase, length. These are the three columns which are of in thousand places. Other, if you will see height, width, then compression ratio, city mileage, highway mileage, sibling, these values are either units or they are tens. So their range is not that high, but rather it is small range value. This is in thousands, this is in hundred, this particular length is in hundred. Similarly, wheelbases are also in 100 positions. So we need to target them and we can transform them into a lower scale value. Lower scale means we can try to apply some transformation. One of the easier way to apply the transformation is that take these column names, and now I'll just take my data frame 2, data frame underscore 2, which are all numerical data, and then we'll take here my log function. All the rows and columns will be like calls equals to df underscore 2, and take my columns dot apply math lambda x colon math dot log. So what will happen here? This is a use case of your lambda function. Lambda function is a anonymous function, a single line function. This will be targeting to these columns individually and the resultant will be log of it. So this could be one of the easiest way to transform the data. If it is having a large range, it will scale down its range to smaller value. Something is wrong here. Let's see, data frame object has no attribute apply math. Apply map is there, no, not math. Map function. Warnings are coming up. Let's ignore them, no problem. Math.log, log of x, df underscore 2 dot log colon comma column names, df underscore 2 calls dot apply map. Okay, and apply function takes, apply is a transformation function. Remember, apply is a transformation function and it will take only function. This will take only function. It will not take any other value. So either you take a def function, the user defined function, or you will provide here a lambda function. But this will only take your function part. Takes function, okay, Python function, either def or lambda, either it could be def type or it could be lambda function to transform. So this is the way to transform your records. Hopefully I've understood all these points. So what happened to all these columns now, which was in thousands places? So curve weight, what is curve weight? Curve weight is now has changed itself to a smaller range value as the data is getting transformed to log of x. Okay, we are applying here log of x. So math dot log of x, this math function is coming up from here. So input is curve weight value and output is math log of that particular value. Similarly, wheelbase, then log of wheelbase, then length, and then log of length. So this will be applied by using apply function or apply map function, and this will be giving you the result here. Instead of apply map, can we use map? We can use any function here. In spite of this lambda, you can use any UDF or any def functions here. Okay, and everything will be having its own transformations here. Sorry, on syntaxes. So you have to use that. If the syntaxes will be taking again these values, so you can pass it as an argument. You can pass a function, and that will give you the result. So one could be apply map, and that's how the resultant will come up here. So just pass your values and that will give you the result. In spite of writing in this, you can just write any function, whatever the result. Let's say you want, in spite of getting math of log of x, you wanted to take max of x. So max of x means it will be returning you. It will return you what? It will give you the maximum value in the. You can take a function which will be. Okay, by the way, or maybe the return type is series. I'm not sure because I use generally this one. I think the map will be applied to series data type. That's what I remember. This is for series data type. Whereas apply map and apply both are used for the data frames. Okay, so done. This is how the things are working. Now I think it's high time that we should stop here. Let's change the track. Let's do some projects. Those are pretty basic, but yes, they are part of your submission. So let's do that one. I think I started the lab. Oh. Check if this is available. Okay, so let's end our pandas discussion for the programming part till here now. Okay, I'll just try to provide you these until here, whatever the maximum is, like obviously practical part. Theoretical part is anyhow you all have it from the videos and audio format. But in the self-learning we are having not only just this Q&A part. So this practice project and 1 and 2. Every project, if you wanted to submit, you have the submit button. You'll select the submit button, and you can see that here you have to attach the attachments. First will be your write-up. That means you have to write your codes here. You have to write here the descriptions, right? The description of the codes, the questions, what type of questions are there, and their descriptions. This will be a write-up part. Okay, you can upload PDF or doc file. Screenshot outputs. This will contain only the screenshot of all the outputs that we are having. Again, the screenshot what you will take, that should be in the form of PDF. And then in the end, you will be having the source code. Remember, the source code should be also in the terms of PDF. Okay. There is no need to upload the Jupyter notebook. You can just copy paste that code in the document along with the questions, like question number 1, evaluation of what you are doing, and screenshot will have the screenshot of all the outputs. Source code will be your only coding part. No explanation in this case is required. Question number code, question number, code, and question number, code. In the screenshot, you can write question number and the screenshot, and in the write-up, you will provide the entire details. The submission, make it as a common format as PDF. It will be much more easier, and these should be available as a document. They should be no need to upload the Jupyter notebook. In spite, you can copy the code and you can prepare a PDF with the help of that. Understood? Those who are asking about how to upload the project, I think the NumPy project is easier. Even this particular project is easier here. Okay, please download the dataset for the project number 1, 7.11. There are some SQL operations which I have not discussed about the pandas. I have kept it for tomorrow. And I'll just focus on this project part for the time being. So please download this part. Why you are running this one? This is just a Mr. Anand, this is not a code. That was just for executing part. You just copy pasted everything. You have not listened, I guess. And that was your particular after update. This project is not shown here. Okay, then what is the project? It got updated, I guess, right? Okay, update course. Let's check then. Anyhow, I'll be discussing this part. The more you will practice, the better it is. So chapter number 7 got feature selection, and chapter number 6 is Python libraries. Wait a second. I got just left with all this. Okay, so this is feature selection. Science with Python. Okay, now I think then I have to stop here when this looks there is a major change here. Okay, data frames, and then we will be having matplotlib, then scipy, everything is merged together. Okay, looks like then that previous one was there. All right. So anyway, let's discuss then. Even I need to see this part. I think it got updated today only. I just checked it. So sorry about that. So I need to even check this one. Some as a surprise. Right, but anyhow, pandas was core part, so that we have already covered. Maybe we can start with our matplotlib section. Okay, so let's discuss that matplotlib part then. I think that is the next in the lesson. In fact, this reduces our lessons again. Data wrangling. Seaborn is also there. So that was not added additionally. They have been updated. And okay, anyway, let's do this part. These are all could be done. This lesson number 4 and 3, 4 and 5 could be done as a single value, as a single code. And even this lesson number 6. These are all part of the same thing. Matplotlib, all these are part of the same part. Let's get started with our data visualization then. No, that's actually an important thing. If you update the course or not. Okay, I'll just we can talk to this part regarding our. Yes, we can talk to our teams and then I'll come get back to you. So let's get started here with my next part, which is matplotlib, matplotlib, Seaborn. These are your two important libraries, which is part of your data visualization. Inside of that, you just name it as exploratory data analysis. Exploratory data analysis. Exploratory data analysis with the help of matplotlib and Seaborn. Somebody saying that math part is difficult. No, in this case, we are just using a math part, and here there is just a transformation function. We are just taking here an x value. We are transforming it as math.log of x. So imagine this was a 1,000 value, and we are returning it as log of 1,000. That's what it is going on here. Or maybe we can discuss here about data cleansing section. That could be one easier thing. Data cleansing could be done. At least we can do something in that. Data cleansing. This will be part of your data manipulation actually. According to the syllabus, if you will see, that will fall under this, where is that data manipulation? Data wrangling part. Data wrangling could be there. So in spite of writing this, you can just write here data wrangling. In the data wrangling section, we need to look for cleaning the data. Okay, so cleansing. This means here we will target to clean the data if we have found any missing value. Okay. So this is your next lesson, next chapter. See, pandas is something which will be used in many different ways. One was your basic section that we have already covered. Then there comes this matplotlib. I think this will be better in terms of maybe this part, exploratory data analysis, which will be full of pie charts and all these different charts here there. And there we will merge this matplotlib in spite of taking it separately in chapter number 3 or lesson number 3. So this will remain as your data wrangling, cleansing part, and let's get started with this. Import numpy as np, and the next part will be your import pandas as pd. Read the data just like the way you have read it earlier. Same thing. Automobile price raw underscore price data underscore raw underscore dot csv. Now I'm gonna check if this returns me null value or not. So earlier it was not showing any null value, right? We have already seen it that when you check this with is null, this returns you nothing. This does not returns you anything here. We have got false and trues. Correct? If there will be any missing value, we will get in the sum part, we'll get some value, at least number. dot sum, when you take sum here, it will give you some number, it shows 0. So what's the problem? We had question marks. These are nothing but these are missing values. So why don't it get converted to the missing value? The problem is that we have not actually have converted this question mark as actually null value. We have not converted them, right? So what we can do is we can simply target these question marks and we can replace it by nan. And that's where comes your very important function called as replace function. This could be used for updating the values in the column in the data frame. So we have got auto underscore price dot replace, and in this case you have to write question mark. Let us replace and update this question mark by what? By nan. That is np.nan here. And apart from this, what you can do is you can just write here in place equals to true. So what happens here is in this case we have actually replaced question mark by np.nan value. You can replace your question mark by np.nan value. Look at here. Now what happened here is that the value which were actually showing up 0, this particular value which were earlier showing 0, all of a sudden you will able to see the numbers of rows which are actually missing. Like price has got 4 values missing, peak RPM has got 2 values missing, horsepower has got 2 values missing, and they are represented as nan. That's what this replace function is doing here in this case, that in spite of showing up that was earlier question mark, as we have replaced this question mark by nan, and not only just that, I have updated the data frame as well. In place equals to true means update the changes, apply the changes in the same data frame. So when you apply the changes into this data frame, then you can compare here the isNull.sum value, which will be returning you this particular 4 or 2 or 41. These are all your number of missing values which are present in our data set. Now another challenge is here. Hopefully all have finished it. You can take your data frame just like from here. Directly copy paste will work. Okay, and just apply these changes. But yes, make sure that you save it as a new chapter, as a new Jupyter notebook. If you are getting Unicode error, that means you have not copied the data from your previous data frame. Don't copy paste my location. My location is different than your. So Unicode error means your path is wrong. So what did here is that earlier in this case we had seen question marks, right? In the data frame we had got this question marks, right? These are all my different question marks, but these question marks are not your. So what you have seen here is that these question marks are actually has converted your column into a object data type, and that's why these question marks were treated as a string value, correct? But originally these question marks are nan. They are missing values actually, right? So what we can do is we can simply use a function called as replace. Replace will take 3 values. Replace function will take 3 values. What are those 3 values? The values that you wanted to replace it with. You will write here a value that you wanted to replace. So I wanted to replace what? Question mark. With what value I wanted to replace? I wanted to replace it by nan. Correct? This is my nan value, and in place equals to true is for update. So So this is how the things are. np.nana, it was nan. I don't know. So I think this is more than enough for today's discussion, right? Uh, Now the things are like we have to discuss the next part. So we'll try to do some cleaning up methods. Um, right now, what this data frame is particularly is of different data types. Right. If you will see the data types, they are mostly string data type. Right. If you will just check it here, D types. Then their data type is still same, like price is still object. So this last part here I wanted to discuss is that we should know how to perform, sorry, we should particularly target here my data set, and we should try to convert our data into a nice, should convert this data into integer formats, right, from this object. So how to do that part? So what you can do is you can target few columns, few important columns, and you can convert them into numerical one. So this is the last section here, which about we will convert object columns to numerical columns. Now you don't have to take the entire object type columns, okay? You don't have to target to all the object columns. Now just now we discussed about how to filter the object columns. You've seen it, right? How to select. So we have got the method called as your select data types, right? And in that case you can write here object this time. Suppose this is my column name, auto underscore price, select data types, and in this case you will write simply object. You will write simply object. When you will write simply object in this case, you can see that these are all your column names, which include your normalized losses, maker is fine. So you can target for those columns which are actually numerical. So they are available here. Just target. This column is not important because this is already having a lot of missing value. But these are the rest of the columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 columns are important. They should be converted into the numerical numbers. We'll take here my columns and put them in square brackets. Stroke, horsepower. This is the last part. Then peak dash RPM. Then we have got price. And these are all my column names. Fine. Okay, so price, bore, stroke, horsepower, peak dash RPM. Now I'll take here my column names, auto underscore price, and we'll provide here my column. If I have to, we have to submit the project. I think these will also remain same here, and then your practice projects. I think why integer 64? Integer 64 is your by default integer 64 bytes for the numerical value. 64 byte is the default size. So that's why integer 64. By default, the integer or float, they are available as int64, where 64 indicates 64 bytes. Next is it possible and advisable to write SQL type queries? Yes, SQL queries you can integrate here, not only just the query function, but you can also run some queries as well. We will discuss that. Okay, sure, I'll check it, Mr. Roshan. In fact, we can check it in few minutes. When is the last time to submit the assignment? Which assignment you're talking about? I think the updated course does not have any assignments, so just wait for it. Don't update everybody. You don't have to update the course. I'll just check it and then confirm it whether you have to go through the old course content or you have to update the course content. I think the content is more or less same only, but I think the updated version does not have any practice project, and this one has having the last chapter is having the practice project part, which is IBM part. So just wait for it. Those who have already updated, it's okay. Those who haven't updated, just wait for it. Okay, any other important questions? If not, then we are done already with our today's topic and today's agenda. Tomorrow we will continue by cleaning up all these things. So thank you so much everybody for joining today's session, and that's it for today's lecture. We'll meet you with the same energy. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend. We'll meet you now tomorrow to again continue with the same pace and with same important and interesting functions will be discussed. So that's it. This is all about our from my side. Bye bye everybody. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you for a wonderful session, Amit. And thank you everyone for your participation. Once you wrap up with the session, you will see a feedback survey form in your browser, and I'll be also sharing it in the chat box. If you like the session, please rate us 5. For anything less than 5, please share your comments to help us understand what went wrong. It will help us to improve in the upcoming sessions. Thank you all for your time. Take care.